Minimal editing, minimal editing. All right, everybody, welcome to episode 186. Oh, my Lord. Of the Illustrious Gentleman podcast, co-hosted by comic book artist Scott Godleski and myself, comic book artist Ryan Cody. Scott's currently working on DC Comics, on all the DC Comics. Just buy any of them, and he's done work on them. But most importantly, Young Justice number 20 is going to come out soon. And Batman or Superman, Future Superman, House of L. Forget what they're calling it already. Future State, House of L. And then my comic book series that I color called Family Tree, Volume 2 just dropped. So there's 2 volumes available of Family Tree. Go check it out. It's a nice horror comic for the horror season. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TIG_show. All the past episodes are available at anchor.fm/TIG show or everywhere else that you listen to podcasts. If you enjoy the show, go to patreon.com/TIG show. Find out how you can support it. Hang on, I'm going to pour my beer here. I got a glass today because it says it's a unfiltered hazy.
Oh,
which
just so you want to see all the little bits.
Just means shit's going to be floating in it.
Why'd you put it in the glass then?
Because I hate myself. That's why let's just do a podcast because I'm miserable. So I'm drinking everything about this I don't like, except I had to get my beer at Fry's, and I've drank most of the singles. So I'm reaching for everything. So I hate the logo. I hate the name.
What is that?
Stupid Simcoe Deepa. So Simcoe is a hop. So the stupid Deepa from Sunup Brewing, which I like Sunup Brewing. They have some good, like their White Russian stout's really good. But they call it an unfiltered single hopped double IPA with stupid amounts of Simcoe hops.
It looks like something they would drink on Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, that's the kind of lettering you do when you're like in like 7th grade and you decide you want to become an artist. You do like that kind of shitty bubble lettering. Again, it was the only $5 and under beer that I hadn't had. They have some other beers there that I'm not willing to spend money on. But yeah, it's just, I mean, they didn't even get a whole label. They just stuck a half sticker on a can. But
ridiculous.
Let's try it. It's 8.5%. Like I said, Sunup Brewing, Phoenix, Arizona. There wasn't any Beer Advocate reviews for this. So I decided, why not educate ourselves and our listener about what a Simcoe hop is? So I pulled up a definition of a Simcoe hop. Simcoe is a dual-purpose hop. A majority of brewers commonly use this hop for both its aromatic and bittering qualities. The flavor profile of Simcoe includes hints of citrus, passion fruit, apricot, and berry. It also has the essence of pine and earthy scents. With these tastes combined, beer experts describe the flavor of Simcoe hops as earthy and fruity. I'm earthy and you're fruity, so.
They also make Captain Planet.
Mm-hmm. So we'll try it out. It's not bitter. It's only 60 IBU. Like I said, 8.5%. So we'll give it a shot. Cool. So how's it going? What have you been up to? What's the fun haps?
Fun haps?
Yeah. Anything interesting? Any new stuff you've dived into? We're going to dive into TV, I think, today, but anything not on the menu?
See. No, I sort of kind of watched the Witches movie on HBO Max. I was in the room while it was on. I feel like it's probably stuck pretty heavily to the book because it was super bizarre and it made some narrative and dialogue choices that I don't think anybody would willingly make in writing or creating film. So it seemed like they really clung to the book, and sort of having that opinion, I have no interest in the book.
Okay, so
this is not good. It's Roald Dahl's Witches.
Okay, I was confused because I thought you meant like the witch.
No,
okay.
This is witches. Wasn't there that it's a remake, right? Of Angelica Houston. Didn't she in the original Witches movie?
You mean The Witches of Eastwick?
No, that wasn't it. I
Bette
don't know.
Midler?
No, Bette Midler was
Hocus
Hocus
Pocus.
totally different.
Witches of Eastwick was Goldie Hawn and was it Melanie Pfeiffer?
Melanie Pfeiffer.
Meg Pfeiffer? Melissa Pfeiffer?
Pfeiffer Ryan was in Witches of Eastwick.
Meg Pfeiffer Ryan was in Witches of Eastwick with Goldie Hawn. Right.
With Michelle Hahn.
Yes. Yeah, with Almost Famous's mother. That's what I call her.
Right.
Right. Yeah. She made a movie called Wildcats about the U of A football team in the 80s.
What?
Yeah. No, she made a football movie called Wildcats though, where she was a football coach.
Oh, that sounds
I'm
great.
sure it was just full of jokes of like, we can't take her seriously. She's a 5'2" blonde and we're big hulking football players.
Yeah.
That was every joke.
All
right. So Witches is based off one of those Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl. Did he also? No, he didn't also write Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, did he? Is that a Roald Dahl?
He might have.
Novel?
He might have. He does all those
I feel like he probably is.
He does all those like novels for kids that are supposed to be
James the Giant Peach.
Yeah, way better than they should be. The BFG.
Oh, that was awful too.
Yeah. Such a weird name to name a kid's movie like The Big Fucking Giant. Such a bizarre, such a bizarre thing. Shout out to them though for
the premise is super bonkers. I feel like all of these things work better probably in print than they do in an hour and a half on screen.
Right. Okay. So the Witches movie, it was on because your kids are watching it because it's obviously made for preteens.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. It didn't make any sense. It was a thing that was on. They seem to like it well enough. Like the Witches, what they do is turn kids into mice. And then, like what? Why? I don't know. Like whatever the fuck. So my kids liked that the kids turned into mice because they like mice and their kids. And it was just scary enough, not to be too scary, but to be like thrilling, scary, whatever. The movie sucked.
If I had the power to turn kids into mice, I would do it just to like laugh. And then I would have a bunch of cats. Like I would keep cats, like an old cat lady, and then just turn kids into mice all day long.
Was so the kids, the main kids that they turn into cats, who are the protagonists of the story, or turn into mice, not cats. They stay mice. So like the spell's never reversed. And he's like, Grandma, how long does a mouse live? And she's like, oh, honey, we probably got 7 or 8 good years left together. That's amazing that they stuck with that.
Wow.
And at the end, the old man mouse, who is aged, like 6 human years, is voiced by Chris Rock. And they're leading an army of kids to murder witches across Europe. That's a bold move.
It's like Mouse Guard meets like the Crucible or something. Like they're just, let's get some mice to kill witches.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely like Charlotte's Web meets Evil Dead.
Is there another concept where like someone turns you into something and then you can't turn back, but you're determined to kill something that's so powerful it turns you into a rodent in the first place? I don't like their odds. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
I feel like I could fight off 100 mice right now if I had to.
Right? It's just walking.
Yeah. Just take some big steps. They're donezo. Anything else, or should I move on to the comic book portion of TikTok?
No, I don't think I've gotten into anything else. No, just crushing election anxiety.
Yeah, I hear that.
Consuming everything I can up until Tuesday is what I've been doing, even though I hate all of it.
Yeah, you're not going to make it.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. Fingers crossed. All right. So comic book segment here. Sorry, I got two mices myself. I got dual mices. So one comic that I picked up yesterday was I think I've talked about it before, the Panel Syndicate, I think they're called. It's the online comics.
Yeah.
Jay Farber had one. And I was reading the one by I think it's Marcos Martin and the guy who started this.
No, the other K, Brian K. Vaughan.
Brian K. Vaughan, right. So I follow it because of that comic. And then there's a great one called Black Hand Ironhead, or Ironhead Black Hand. That was great. So I like the concept of this. It's a pay what you want monthly comic. And so yesterday one dropped, and it's by Donnie Cates, Dylan Burnett, Dean White, and then John Hill lettered it. And it's called The One You Feed. And it's kind of like a fantasy, like a future fantasy kind of tale. It's got monsters in it. It's got like kings and queens and royalty and, a kid on a mission, typical like fantasy sort of tropes. Okay. But it's great. I mean, Dylan Burnett is a great artist. Dean White's an amazing colorist. Donnie Cates is a good writer. So it's like pretty into it. I did what I always do, which is what I think digital comics should cost. I paid $1 out of my PayPal account, and I got the PDF copy of the book. And I think this model's genius for two reasons. Is they can release the singles digitally, pay as you want, and then someone like Image or whatever can release the trade. So it's like they can basically double dip with different publishers. Black Hand, sure. Ironhead did that. And then, but also I saw someone on Donnie's Twitter feed posted and that they paid $7.99 for the comic, the digital 20-page comic.
Okay. Well, so, cool then.
I don't know how the math breaks down, but I assume these guys, if you're a big enough name, are going to make a good chunk of money on these digital releases. But yeah, it was really enjoyable. It's something because most of the number ones that come out through Panel Syndicate, if the art is interesting to me, I'll pick it up, and then I don't always keep buying them. But this is one I'm going to finish out. This is one I'm going to pick up the next 4 issues of. And then if it keeps on its upward trajectory, I could see myself buying the trade, because that's the way to do it, right? If I'm paying $1 per issue, I get 5 issues for $5. I'll still buy the trade for $15 to have a physical copy. So it's not like,
okay,
like if I bought 5 floppies of a miniseries, I probably wouldn't buy the trade because I already have all 5 of the floppies, because I paid $15 or wait. More than that. I paid, $20 for the floppy, so I don't want to spend another $15 for the trade. But I don't mind it if I only pay $5 for the floppies.
Okay. Well, I think that's supportive of you. I think, to be honest, I probably would just hope and wait for a trade rather than drop the $5 on digital versions. Or if I'm spending the $5 on digital versions, then I'm not buying a physical trade.
Well, I don't mind reading comics on my screen, but I want physical. So if it's something I really enjoy, I want a paperback. I don't want a digital. I don't like reading comics on a screen.
Okay,
I like turning the page.
So why aren't you just waiting?
Because it's only $1 a month and I'm never going to miss it, and I get a good story out of it, but I would prefer to read it in paper form.
Okay. I'm not following. I really.
Because let's say I want to revisit the story in a year. I don't want to boot up my computer and have my computer on my big belly on my bed and swipe through the pages.
So why not just wait for the trade?
Because I like the model. I don't mind supporting the model. I think the release model is important.
Okay, there, yeah. If you deem it worthy enough to support to that degree, awesome. I think that's great. Being empty inside and stingy as fuck, I feel like there's a lot of logic hurdles in this conversation that I just can't
Right.
clear.
And for me, it's the price point. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't read a Marvel DC Image $3.99 digital comic and then buy a trade.
Mm-hmm.
No, but this is $1. I mean, technically, if I wanted to
That's fine.
be true to my true self, I could pay 25 cents for this digital comic. But I feel like that's a little too insulting. Plus, I think there's probably a receipt somewhere with my name on it, so I want to have at least $1.
I think I did the math at some point several years ago, and the Image royalties for 50% creator. So mine came out to like 27 cents an issue is what I ended up seeing. So, $1 is, almost 4 times that. So that's nice.
Oh, you're saying your digital royalties are about 27 cents an issue?
No,
just regular royalties.
Floppy, yeah.
Right.
So on the digital end, I don't know what it is. I could probably do the math.
It'd probably be about the same if its price point is the same.
Yeah.
Although Image does,
you would think, I don't know.
Although, credit to Image, they do lower their prices after, I think, a month. So a $3.99 comic when it's new, when the next issue comes out, becomes a $1.99 comic, I think, on most of their titles on Comixology. But anyways, I just want to give a shout out to that Panel Syndicate, the one you feed. Pretty neat concept. I enjoyed reading it. And then I did get a floppy comic yesterday, X of Swords, Stasis. So again, we covered this a couple weeks ago. This is
Nick Swardson.
This is X of Swords, Stasis #1, part 11 of 22.
Oh my God, that hurts my head.
And
it's 10 of Swords, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 10 of Swords. Sorry.
10 of Swords of 18 of 22.
Right. So 11 of 22. So basically,
plus 7.
What I've gathered, because I've read the 2 X of Sword or 10 of Swords specific issues, and then I read an issue of Excalibur that was a tie-in because R.B. Silva drew it. And what I gather is it's a cosmic sword fight between 10 mutants and 10 bad guys from different realms of reality, and they're going to have a giant sword fight.
After 22 parts.
Right. So what I haven't, I've only read parts 1, 11, and probably like 6. So maybe I missed some important shit in the other 7 or 8 issues that I didn't read. But so far, we're still gearing up for the sword fight, and we're halfway through the crossover. Sword fight. But I mean, again, I got it because, and people love Jonathan Hickman, and people love Teenie Howard, and it's just not, the story is not for me. It's set in like an alternate reality worlds that was, even when I was a kid, let me go back. When I was a kid, the first comic I ever fell in love with, subscribed to, and read monthly was Excalibur. There was always this part of Excalibur that happened in like Saturine's world or Saturn's world that I didn't like. I didn't like Saccharin. I didn't like what was going on in Saccharin's world. Like, it didn't hold any interest to me. It was just like a ruler of another reality. This whole thing is set in those different realities. So it's like all the bad guys are bad guys I don't know, because Apocalypse is now a good guy, whatever. But I got it.
Everybody ends up being a good guy.
Right. So basically all the mutants are good guys because of the reboot. They're all, holding hands and singing Kumbaya and Krakoa. So they have to create all these new bad guys. So anyways, whatever. Young Cable's still floating around. Let's get back to old Cable, if you know what I'm talking about. But I got this because of the art. Pepe Larraz and Mahmoud Asrar did the art. Marte Gracia did the colors. So again, it is a beautiful book. Just a fantastic looking book. And I'll get 10 of Swords 22 because that'll be the next one that Pepe Larraz draws. So
cool.
If you like art and you like X-Men, that's a book for you. So shout out to Cap Comics for hooking me up once again. I have a box now. I have my own box at a comic book shop. I never used to have a box.
Wow.
Yep. And I just love having a box all myself. I can just visit that box whenever I want.
Just get in there anytime.
That's right. I can get in there whenever I want. There's stuff in there that's just for me. It's like my special box that I can just access whenever I want. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I've never had a box, but what I want it to be is like a safety deposit box at a bank in a movie where they take you into a back room and you've got the key and the shop owner's got a key and you both have to turn it, and then he leaves it. He leaves to give you your privacy to get your comics out.
Right.
And then you take your comics out and then you put like thousands of dollars in unmarked bills into the box.
Right.
Put it back. Yeah.
A couple fake IDs. Yeah.
Yeah. A gun.
Right. Yeah. I got in trouble yesterday. Apparently I got yelled at via chat or via text because I told him, because he wasn't there. So I just bought a shelf copy. And then I got a response. There's a reason that I set you up with a box. And I said, I don't know my box number. So then he told me my box number and he goes, but you could also just give them your name. And I said,
I don't know my name.
Well, I'm afraid if I say it's for Ryan Cody, then they'll be like, you mean the colorist for Family Tree? Like the guy who signed all these
Yeah, it'll be like the Beatles.
Yeah, and it's like, I'll never get out of there. Like I was in a hurry. So
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Go in there with your hat and your glasses on.
Yeah, I'll be like Homelander and Stormwatch in episode 8 of season 2. They can't get out of the pizza joint fast enough. Maybe that's episode 7. So much happened in those last 2 episodes of the season. So yeah, I guess let's just move on to that. We've been beating around the bush about The Boys season 2 for a couple of weeks, and then I thought, I don't know if I can speak intelligently enough on a season of television to fill a whole hour of this spectacular program, The Illustrious Gentleman, but I figure we could talk about what we liked about that and maybe what we like or dislike about other comic book shows.
Yeah, sure.
So I have some notes. The Boys, I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was a little critical after seeing only the first 3 episodes of season 2, but it really came on strong towards the end. And those last 2 episodes feel like a whole season happened in just like 2 episodes, or maybe the last 3. I feel like so much was crammed into those. Like Homelander. I should say, spoiler alert if you haven't finished season 2 of The Boys. Go ahead and turn this off, or just mute it.
Sure.
Just let it play through for the ad revenue, but then go ahead and mute it. But yeah, like I rewatching it this morning and last night, Homelander and Stormwatch didn't start like getting together until like episode 5. Like more than half the season had ended before they even got together.
Really?
Yeah. And then we don't even meet Lamplighter till episode 7.
Yeah. Bobby Drake.
Yeah. Mix of Pyro and Iceman.
Right. Yeah.
Although, isn't he a twin? Aren't there 2 of that guy? He's like the London brothers.
Was on Lock and Key.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was him, but apparently it's not.
Yeah, they're like the Jeremy and Jason London.
He's also multiple man.
In what?
In life.
Oh. Yeah. I figure you got to have triplets. There's got to be a group of triplets that are actors. That's who you cast as multiple man. Save some money on that budget, special effects budget.
Yeah. No.
All right. So, yeah. So what I did yesterday was I started season 2 all over again, but then I also rewatched the episode 8 of season 1. So I could kind of get back to grips on exactly what happened. Yeah. Some shit happened. Obviously, different kid cast as the Homelander's son.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Between the first season and second season.
Huh.
Not even remotely don't even remotely look alike, other than having blonde hair. The end of season 1, he looks like he's like 12 or 13. This season, he looks like he's supposed to be like 9 or 10. I don't know.
Fail.
Yeah, whatever. can't get that little shit probably held out. Like his mom was his agent, and she's
One
probably
star.
like, we're not coming back for season 2 unless we get our own trailer and unlimited supply of Milky Way.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's why people watch.
Yeah. But speaking of that kid, before we stop
You
talking
say
about him,
Milky Way?
yeah, every kid likes Milky Way. I read somewhere, and I don't know if you read it as well, but I didn't pull any notes, so this could be the smallest side conversation ever. But I think they're going to do a boys spinoff at a school, so I think that's why the kid was such a big part of this season.
Yeah, I think I had seen the headline about a boys spinoff something or other. Obviously, I didn't read it. I don't care. I don't know what kind of spinoff I would be interested in.
I think it's supposed to be. I think it's going to be wherever they're sending this kid. It's like Kids of Supers, which gives me the opposite of a boner because I don't want to watch like a teen version of The Boys.
Right.
But shout out to my homie D Robertson. If he's probably getting more money, so good for him. That's always good when people get paid.
I hope it's like a Nickelodeon show.
Freeform, ABC TV's Freeform.
Yeah. With the principal who's obviously an idiot because he's the only grown up on the show.
Yeah, the kids are just bossing him around because all their parents can murder him, so he has no power. Mr. Belding. Yeah, so maybe the Saved by the Bell reboot is a Hidden Boys spinoff where one of the kids is Homelander's son, but he's got to fit in, to the cast of Saved by the Bell. That joke would have been a lot funnier, but I can't remember the name of the school in Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, so you go through
the
entire show with, the kid getting stuffed in the locker jokes and all the usual preteen school shenanigans. But the last scene is him just murdering all the bullies.
Yeah. And then every episode he's at a new school with a new identity because they just have to keep transferring him to schools because there's only so much shit he could take. Yeah, okay, maybe I would watch that as long as children get murdered. So what did you like about I've been talking so much. What did you like about The Boys season 2? Because it seemed like you really liked it maybe more than season 1.
I don't know if I liked it more than season 1. I'm trying to remember anything about season 1. I remember being just as entertained and not disappointed because at the end of the first season, the way they left it, I was like, oh, I don't know that I'm interested in seeing anything about this kid or the wife or anything. But the choices they made down that the way it branched off, I think, was interesting and definitely kept me engaged. The choices that they made at every turn felt it's one of those things where, like, as a storyteller, as we are,
obviously,
it's one of those things you admire where the dramatic choices are both unexpected and completely understandable in regards to character and plot. So those kind of moments, you just want to stand up and go, good job. I wish I had done that.
Yeah, only one scene. I was going to say if there's a storyline I didn't like, but there's really just one scene I didn't enjoy that I thought went too much into just like comedy, and that was the Patton Oswalt deep skills singing. And I get what it was supposed to do. I get the whole point of the scene.
Sure.
But it just seemed like it was just too silly.
Well, he was tripping out,
Yeah, I know, but
it was fine to me.
But I also don't care at all about the deep. So I only like it when
he's the most interesting character.
I only like it when he shows up to mess up and like gets out of frame. Like no, I don't think he's that interesting at all.
No, it's easy to take certain actions and apply them to a character as shortcuts for character building or to give the audience information. So in season 1, when he whips his dick out, and that's like the first thing you know about him, it's like eye rolling. You're like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is cheap. But all through season 1 and then all through season 2, there were consequences for that, which I found totally fascinating. And I applaud the writers for keeping with it and really going down that road and not just using that as shorthand for, oh, he's an asshole and that's what he is. So they made a real person, which is nice.
That's true. Yeah, the biggest consequence is getting sent to Sandusky, Ohio. But yeah, I guess it's hard to say I don't care about the Deep. I guess that scene I just thought was overly silly, but who knows? Maybe I just haven't ever properly tripped balls. So if you have, maybe that scene
yeah, and
true.
I enjoyed his Church of the Collective trip, and all that stuff was great. With that dude from ER.
Yeah, because I like the fact that he doesn't care about it. He just it's a means to an end. He just it's there. So much of this season played off of what's really happening, or kind of like subtly, not even subtly, whatever, but like that kind of thing. Like he doesn't give a shit about the religion. The religion is a means to an end. He wants to get back, so he's gonna pretend to be this changed guy, and pretend to care about. Which is very on point, I think, for a lot of religious people.
Yeah, like satire is not the word for it, but it's using all the obviously ridiculous real world bits to put this, to hang this sort of ridiculous premise on is great. So if you're going to do superheroes, why not go like real world silly and have a corporation that makes superheroes and a phony religious organization that's just there to make money, and it's all great. I love all of it.
Yeah, they kind of tackle everything. Like Homelander, when he outs Maeve, it should be a very powerful scene, but they don't even give the viewers time to like feel bad for Maeve for being outed publicly. They're immediately like marketing, trying to make money off her being bi or being gay. Like it's just it's so on point for what like essentially a company like Amazon would do, which is funny because Amazon pays to make the show, but it's exactly what they would do. Like everything they can make money out of, they do without any. They don't feel bad at all.
Also, something I'm thinking about now. It's like something. It really goes the opposite way of all the superhero movies, right? We have an origin story for every superhero, and we see them sort of learning their powers, and they set up rules and stuff. And you don't get any of that stuff with any of the characters on the show. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. It's just who they are and the part that they're playing inside of the story they're trying to tell. Like it seems like every soup is bulletproof, which fine. Okay, I guess that's just a trait of Compound V. Stormfront's 100 years old somehow. They don't explain it. We don't give a fuck. I never gave a fuck as to how that was possible.
Yeah, not only do they not give you back, they don't give you the origin of the heroes. They go the opposite way, and they give you the origin of the boys. A lot, not quite every one of them, but you got Frenchie's origin. This season, so, you got the female, you got Kimiko's origin.
Sure, like motivation's different than physical limitation.
Yeah,
so, I want to know why Billy Butcher wants to kill Homelander, but I don't need to know how Homelander can shoot lasers out of his eyes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to know what turned Homelander into like essentially like a psychopath. Just having those abilities with zero consequences would turn 90% of humans into
Right.
psychopaths. You mentioned you mentioned a second ago about superhero movies, and I had a note on their Dawn of the Seven movie that they're making during this season. When the guys pitching the movie in the room to them with the storyboards and shit, it's so typical of like shitty writers that like the end of the movie is them arresting a dude in a suit. So you have 7 super powerful superheroes, and the main villain is a dude wearing a suit that Homelander then arrests, rather than like play up the fact that it's. I mean, I guess I don't want so much of a superhero battle that it turns into like the Justice League movie where nothing makes sense because it's just a million parademons. But I also don't want to watch a superhero movie where the bad guy is like a dude in a suit. Yeah. Yeah. And he's also a Hispanic guy in a suit, which is a subtle nod to the racism of this season as well.
As I would imagine that for like staff writers and that sort of shit, bad writing must be a ton of fun.
Oh yeah. Because basically like they got to have a first draft that's what they would normally write, and then someone's like, well, okay, let's make that worse.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think it's easy for them or difficult for them? Like, it's hard for me to draw poorly. Like, if I had to, I mean, I'm sorry. It's normal for me. Let me rephrase that. It's normal for me to draw poorly, but it's hard for me to draw like if I had to draw like a 12-year-old would draw who was just learning. Right. That's very difficult for me to do. I wonder if it's hard for writers to like, oh, I got a BA in writing at like Harvard, and now I got to write like a shitty version of a shitty movie with shitty dialogue. I wonder if they find that difficult, or like you said, is it just fun?
I think those might be different. Those are different paths. I think producing something physically where you need to actively sort of ignore the muscle memory of doing something with your body. I think just imagining what Joe Schmo would think was cool in a superhero movie is probably easier and a lot more fun than trying to draw like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, probably like making a lot more fun to just write like how you would have wrote. It's a lot more fun to write like you're 12 than it is to draw like you're 12.
Yeah, but all they did was they went to Twitter and they searched Snyder Bros. They said, oh, it's all right here.
Yeah, one character that I really enjoyed their arc, show me your arc, was Kimiko, which I don't read I haven't read the comics. I just haven't. And I guess in the comics she's the female, so I don't know if they have her name in the comic, but in the show, oh, you're about to be dive bombed. Good Lord, that's like an ultralight right above your garage.
Yeah, I can hear it through my headphones.
Yeah, but I liked the turn she got when she had to turn her brother in, or I guess he got murdered. But when all that had to happen, then she kind of dipped back down into her like darker side, her Wolverine side. And the scene where she beat up those like murdered those Armenian gangsters, or maybe the Armenians paid her, maybe they were Russian gangsters, maybe that's another political thing, some angry Armenians. But when she ripped that dude's fucking face off, when she peeled his goddamn face off, I had forgotten when I first saw it like a couple of weeks ago on the couch. I think I did the oh shit and like pulled my knees up into my chest. I was like, fuck. And then today when I watched it, I was like, oh my fucking God, I forgot all about that. Like, you don't see that shit on NBC's Heroes.
It's time for everybody to go to the subways.
Yeah, you might be anally probed in no time.
The Blitzkrieg is on.
Are you drinking? Are you drinking out of your New Times Best Comic Book Artist Scott Godlewski mug?
That my mom made for me. Yeah, it's got the article printed on the back, but not the whole thing. It just ends.
Oh. See, at least you actually won the award, and then your mom made you the mug. I think my mom would just make me a fake mug, like Academy Award winner of Best Comic Artist, Ryan
like
Cody.
Like a bowling trophy.
Yeah.
It says Ryan Cody Best Artist on it.
Right. Yeah, this year, to people who aren't from Phoenix, this year Todd McFarlane won that award. So he's following in your footsteps.
Finally.
Winning Phoenix New Times Best Comic Artist. He'd make if he just kept at it.
Just practice.
Right. Practice makes perfect. Yeah. So another note, I just had some random notes I wrote while I was watching it. I guess one storytelling thing that I thought was a little weak and a little, I guess, easy was when Queen Maeve's girlfriend, Elena, when she finds the video that they end up blackmailing Homelander with at the end, she was looking for Maeve's phone to order sushi, but these are two women in their 40s. How does Elena not have her own phone? And why is she like finding a phone in a drawer with a junk drawer? Like I don't know about you, and maybe it's a OCD thing, but like I always know where my phone is.
I didn't care. This is a nitpick that I could just throw right out the window. It doesn't matter to me.
It really stuck with me. Is like, who doesn't know where their own phone is at all times in 2020?
All right. How are we going to get her to see the video?
But also that phone was like in pretty good condition for being found on the bottom of the Marianas Trench by the deep.
Oh, was that the actual phone from a person?
Oh, maybe. I guess in 2020 you can share videos. You can put it on a different phone. It was on
the cloud.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Photoshop cloud that they keep trying to get me to use. Fuck you, man. Stop resetting my fucking brushes and maybe I'll trust your cloud. Fucking piece of shit. So yeah, that was a little that was a little nitpick, I guess. You're right. But one thing that I enjoyed, and when I showed it, when we watched it with my wife the first time, I said that was so good, and it was the open to episode 7, where in about 3 minutes they completely explained how the media can affect like an influential mind, how easy it is to radicalize people. It's a dig at the far right, at like incels and the far right and all that shit.
Was this the what Homelander and Stormfront were speaking?
No, this is the one where the guy woke up and lived with his mom and he was like in his 30s and all he did just listen to the news, like far right news and Stormfront videos.
Right. And he shoots the shop owner.
Shop owner. Yeah. And it's like, it doesn't take much, I think, for people that are already open to being influenced, it doesn't take much. And they explain that in like a 2 to 3 minute scene.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
I think about that, and then I think about like I got the free trial to HBO, so the kids could watch the fucking Witches movie, and I haven't watched Watchmen yet, but I'm gonna get to that. But I had watched a couple episodes of John Oliver and thinking, how can anybody think that there's not a clear, correct side
to be on? To be on?
Yeah. So a far right guy's gonna wake up one day and he's gonna, take the gun that he sleeps with. He's gonna go shoot somebody because everything he watches tells him to be afraid. And somebody on the far left is gonna wake up one day and go protest for healthcare, and that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it only because in high school I was an involuntary celibate in high school. But like, so I could see how 4 years of just pent up anger and thinking everyone's against you and you can't get laid. No one, you feel like no one loves you or no one cares about you. That's, I think, is a lot of people's like high school and young adult experience. But let's
Sure.
extrapolate that over another 15 years to when you're 31, 32, and you still feel like everyone's against you and no one has ever shown you the love you need.
I suppose
I can see that. I can see.
you're also choosing to consume media that's telling you
Right.
that.
Right. But it's like I consume alcohol and I consume food that makes me feel good in the moment. That they're doing the same thing. They're consuming media that reinforces what makes them feel good in the moment, and it just becomes a lifestyle. So like I could see that, like that doesn't seem far fetched to me. That
Sure. No. Totally believable.
That it's so easy to like radicalize somebody or influence somebody. So yeah, I mean, in those last two episodes, 7 and 8, they really tackled a bunch of sort of like media misinformation, right-wing politic insanity shit, a lot of stuff, and I like how they balance that out, because they're obviously on the right side of that line, this TV show, as far as the stories they're trying to tell. But they did set up the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez character to be a bad guy, which I liked as well. Like, so that way you can't, no asshole can just, no fucking dude on like Bleeding Cool forums. Yeah, it can just be like, oh, everything is liberal, liberal hate or whatever. Like, no, they set her up to be the bad guy. So yeah. And on on my first watch through the season, I'm rambling at this point. My first watch through the season, I didn't pick up on the fact that someone's head blew up in the first episode. And then they started blowing up again in the 7th episode.
Oh, that's her brother. No, the FBI
lady. Yeah, FBI lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they were a lot of setup that I didn't notice the first time around. So, but yeah, I like it. I like where it's going in the next one. It seems like they're setting them up to be almost like an official team next season with money behind them, and so maybe they can expand their purview, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to think of a storyline where you think your biggest ally is actually your biggest enemy now. So, yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, she's the like the Senator Kelly.
Yeah, except Senator Kelly in the comics was always hostile towards the mutants.
Well, she's going to be hostile towards
supers. Yeah.
I think she's secretly in bed with Bot.
Oh, sure, but outwardly she's hostile towards the supers.
Sure, but yeah, so she's going to be that sort of
right
antagonist that can, bring the full weight of the government down on the boys.
Yeah, I'm into it. I like that. Frenchie, or Serge, as I like to call him. I like that Serge and Kimiko are off on their little rant around the globe. I would like a spinoff movie of them just like in Monaco dancing and doing like mushrooms and shit. I'm into that. I'm not into the deep doing mushrooms because Patton Oswalt took me out of the scene, but I am into a girl who can rip people's faces off doing mushrooms, because that would be a fun trip.
Yeah, I don't think there's a pop culture thing that Patton is not involved with,
right,
in some way.
Yeah, I'm sure he's besides being friends with Seth Rogen, who I think is a producer on this, he's probably also friends with Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. Roberson. There's no T in Derek's name, right? It's Robertson. I don't know.
Huh?
Let's get our. Let's get our crack research team on.
I could be wrong.
What other what do you like to see in comic book shows? What are you looking for? I
Well,
mean,
I
obviously,
I
like
haven't watched the Watchmen series, and I've never seen any of the CW stuff, which is like straight superhero stuff. So I mean, I guess The Boys is really my only exposure to any of this in live action outside of like uh, Batman animated series and the X-Men cartoon and shit.
you didn't watch like the Marvel Netflix shows either.
Oh, I totally forgot about those. That's how good they are. Um, yeah, it's fine. I guess Daredevil was interesting enough. I never finished any of the other ones. I didn't watch the Defenders. I do like Amazon's Tick series. I think is very well done. I don't know. You just look for something different, right? You want whatever it is to bring something that you're not getting somewhere else, which I think is the biggest failing of the DCEU movies. Is you're not giving me anything that Marvel doesn't do better.
Right. Yeah, when I was putting my list together of like just stuff that I like, because I actually didn't make notes about what I do like and what I don't like. I guess what I like is what you said, something that gives us something different. Like I'm not one of these guys, and again, like I don't need to see an X-Men movie that's based off an X-Men storyline. I don't need to see a season of The Punisher that's based off a Punisher storyline. I'm watching the TV show to get something different than I already got in the comics. And so like the like my problem with the DC shows is, and I'll watch them when I'm working. I'll put those on while I'm working. They're fun and they have like a lot of Easter eggs and shit, but they're super like safe because they're on like the CW.
Mm-hmm.
And they do, because they're part of that big network thing, they do like 20 episodes a year, and it's just shit gets lost in the weeds. There's like 3 bad guys. There's like so many rando shit. Uh, so that's my problem with the DC shows. And then my problem with the Marvel shows is they're too safe. So DC will go fucking nuts and they'll put out a character in like full on spandex and like they'll get as weird as they need to get.
Right. Yeah. I
But
saw a clip of like Gorilla Grodd fighting King Shark or something.
yeah. Whereas the Marvel shows won't do that. The Marvel shows are too safe. Everything's like it's not a real costume. It's not like let's shy away from putting them in a costume for 8 episodes. So they're never really going as far as I want. If you're going to be based off a comic, put the motherfucker in his costume. But so I found out that what I really enjoy with the shows that I watch that are comic book shows is I enjoy the ones that aren't necessarily superhero shows. The Watchmen, I guess, has costumed characters, but it's not really a superhero show. And that's amazing. You should definitely watch that before your trial's up because that shit is lights out. But then also like I probably watched the first like 6 or 7 seasons of The Walking Dead, and I really enjoyed it. I never read the Walking Dead comics.
Wow, that's a lot.
So, well, aren't they on like season 10 now? I haven't watched it in like 5 years. So maybe I only watched like the first 4 seasons. Because again, that got to be too much. Just 10 seasons is too much. Preacher, I watched the first 2 seasons of. I liked. I never caught the last season, or maybe there were only 2 seasons. Deadly Class only had 1 season, but it was starting to be something cool. You know, I'm repping. I'm repping Umbrella Academy and Preacher behind me. But yeah, Umbrella Academy I like too, but again, that's a little too silly. Like the thing that I liked about The Boys is like it can be silly and then immediately be like super serious and real.
Yeah, like we talked about horror stuff. That's one of the tags I would attach to The Boys. I think it's horror comedy because the things that happen are horrific. Like when she ripped the dude's fucking face off. You know, these are it plays with the real world sort of consequences of this sort of stuff in a way that's Um, at the same time, super believable and interesting, but shocking and horrific. And a lot of times, shock value just comes with that sort of like knee jerk, like, oh my god, laughing sort of thing. So there's a comedic element built into it just because it's so crazy. Yeah, so that's what you get from The Boys. It's like horror comedy, and then I imagine Watchmen is like drama, sort of suspense stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. Then you get like sort of straight comedy stuff from the TIG show on Amazon. You get your standard sort of feel good superhero stuff from the CW series. What else? The Marvel shows, I guess, are sort of in the weird area of maybe not realistic, maybe that's not the right word, but ground level enough to where they take there's nothing super about them. They take the sort of giant the spectacle out of the superhero stuff. And if that's your bag, then you're probably going to like it. It's almost like it's kind of like the CW shows, I guess, or like the regular Marvel shows, like network Marvel shows, just with like worse lighting.
Yeah. It's when I was a kid and I used to watch like the Incredible Hulk or whatever. I think I was probably watching them on reruns, but like it was like either for budget reasons or because they wanted to like make it spectacular. But like you would see like one use of a power, or like the Bionic Woman, you'd see like the Bionics used like once or twice an episode, and that's kind of how I feel like those Netflix shows are. Like Luke Cage punches two dudes an episode, or like the Iron Fist. The Iron Fist lights up once an episode.
Yeah, there's a strategy to that sort of stuff. It's the shark in Jaws. It's like you can't really see it. The less you see it, the more spectacular and like awe-inspiring it's supposed to be. But yeah, it does kind of smell like the Incredible Hulk series. I saw a clip on Twitter the other day where Ferringo smashes through a door like into pieces, and then sort of like grabs a guy under his armpits and throws him on a bed, and that's like, oh my god, it's the Hulk. He threw an old guy on the bed. Look at that.
Yeah, it's like the Netflix shows tried too hard. The Netflix Marvel shows tried too hard to bring in non-comic fans. And then I think the DC shows sometimes maybe too comic friendly. Like if I didn't read comics, like if I didn't know comics and I just watched those DC shows, I'd be like, this is Clown City.
Oh, they're two totally different tones.
Yeah.
One almost seems, I don't know, ashamed of its roots, and the other one kind of leans into it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
The superhero aspect of the CW shows is the main ingredient. It's the flour or the eggs. And Marvel shows, it's a seasoning that you wouldn't even know was there if you weren't looking for it.
Yeah, like you could watch that first season of The Punisher and you would never know that it's more than just like a vigilante show. Like it's like Rambo the series.
I don't remember anything about it. I remember him on season 2 of Daredevil, and I watched it. I don't know if I watched it. I got like 3 or 4 episodes into one of the seasons of Punisher, and nothing was happening.
Yeah, I'd never finished the second season of Punisher because it followed up the lackluster Iron Fist show. Yeah. And then I'm like 2 or 3 episodes in, he was in like a bar fight. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. enough about this character.
I don't find anything about the Punisher interesting at all. Like the character.
Right.
It's what I think Garth Ennis's run on the Punisher got right. So the Punisher isn't a character. He's just he can be your protagonist. He can be the main character, but there's no depth to him. So anything interesting is going to have to come from the stuff happening around him. He's always going to be the straight man.
Yeah, I remember, like, I used to read Punisher comics when I first got into comics. I read a lot of Punisher comics, especially the Jim Lee Punisher War Journal comics, stuff like that. And like, even as a kid, I remember thinking, like, this guy's a dick. Like, what? Like, he's mean to his only friend, poor Microchip. He's mean to Microchip. Like, he's like what? Even then, I knew, like, it's something I've come to understand now and watching TV and stuff like that. You can have a despicable character, but he has to have some sort of redeeming quality to make him the focus of your show, to make him there's no way Homelander could be, as much as Homelander, I think, is the breakout character of The Boys. He's not the star of The Boys. He's not who you root for. You have Billy, who is hard to root for, but he comes through every couple episodes to make him at least you can root for him.
Yeah, you don't do anything with the Punisher one way or the other. You don't root for him, or I don't even root against him. So he's totally nothing. There's nothing there, and you can't give him an arc. As soon as you change or give him a character going either way, then he's not the Punisher anymore.
Right. Punisher is just a weapon on legs. Like, that's all he is. He's a sledgehammer that can drive a car. Yeah.
Totally boring.
Yeah. It's funny. I wonder why was it my rage-filled youth that I drew myself to the Punisher, or was it just because Jim Lee drew him and I'm like, oh, this dude's fucking cool as shit.
Equal parts. Yeah. I mean, the costume is
fantastic.
Dope,
yeah.
You know? But yeah, the character is just boring as fuck. He's just a visual. You just want to see him shoot people, and that's it. And we talked about it before. You know, all these guys that don't outgrow that initial Punisher badass sort of thing, that now have Punisher decals on their fucking trucks with the testicles hanging off of them. And they've all got like
those are the Kingpin's balls.
Yeah, and they're all with like law enforcement or military decals on the car too. Is there anything less like American value than the Punisher?
Yeah, he's a serial killer.
Yeah, there's no innocent until proven guilty. There's no right to a fair trial. There's no anything. He's just a Second Amendment wet dream.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I could get more into the Punisher. I think there is some subtleties to that character, but Joe Schmo with the All Lives Matter flag on his shirt with the fucking Punisher, skull on it and all that shit. He doesn't care about the subtleties of the Punisher. He just sees the Punisher doing what he wishes he could do if there were no laws. Yeah. But the problem is that guy wearing that shirt is a law enforcement officer. That's the biggest problem in this situation. Is cops love the Punisher. That should be trigger point number one on a psych test.
I have to be able to tell people what to do.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah,
yeah, and I don't want to go to Iraq to do it. So, yeah,
that's right. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Or I went to Iraq and I really enjoyed telling people what to do, but I don't want to be in the military. I want to live I want to live in Ahwatukee with my truck.
But they dishonorably discharged me over some bullshit.
Yeah, that guy can still breathe. It was just a straw he was breathing through.
No, but now I'm gonna go walk around Scottsdale Fashion Square and tell those teens what's up.
Yeah. Armed, like dressed the same as when I dressed when I was in Fallujah. But now I'm in Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall, yelling at people in Hot Topic to keep it moving.
That's right. It's the concrete jungle now, baby.
That's
The
right.
animals would
That's right. Get your manic panic and get out of here. You're not just hanging out here all fucking day. All right. I think we've done enough. I think we fulfilled our contract obligations to the people that, big TIG show industries,
right.
Yeah. All right. The stupid Simcoe, Deepa. Okay, let me ask you a question here, design wise. And if you don't watch the video, you might not get this, but every phrase on here or every letter on here, stupid Simcoe Deepa, is just a regular letter. But then the D in Deepa is a double D. Oops, sorry. It's got a, God damn it.
Oh my God.
Sorry. How does this work? There we go. You see, do you think that's on purpose?
Know what's happening there?
Do you think that's on purpose? Because it's a double.
Yes, I think it's on purpose, and which is worse than it just being sort of a bad edit or a typo.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And also, shout out to, as a son of a veteran, I am pro-veteran, despite what I just said.
Oh, sure.
Sunup is, I think we're both pro-veteran. Sunup is veteran family owned, which I dig. But one of them probably has a Punisher tattoo.
Yes, I am pro-military.
Yes,
that volunteer out of a sense of honor and duty, and not just because they want to blow shit up.
Yeah, I'll even give you credit if you had no better options than you join the military, because you're going to get 3 hots and a cot. And you're going to get a paycheck. So yeah, I'm not anti-military. I'm anti psychopaths in the military and police force enforcement. But yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. So stupid Simcoe Deepa, 8.5%. It was good. It was easy to drink. I drank it. Obviously, I finished it. It was not. Hey, I didn't notice any floaties in it, so it's some sort of filtered. It wasn't like that piece of shit beer I had a couple weeks ago where there were like marble-sized chunks floating in it.
What's the penalty for the can design?
That's a huge hit. Might be a full point, which would, in our scoring criteria, would be 20%. It might take a 20% hit for that fucking logo, because this logo shows that you don't even have like a nephew that knows how to use Photoshop. Like, you literally don't know anybody that knows how to use any design program at all.
You can't design like a can size label to slap on that motherfucker.
Yeah, or just who sees this font and is like, that's a cool font. That's an appealing font from our beer.
No, that's a home brewer's label. That's a can that you give out to friends at Christmas.
It's so bad. I mean, it's
wow, you made this?
Yeah. Did you do this freehand? Wow. But I mean, obviously there's some, I mean, they put all the other labels. I mean, everything's labeled on there. They got the code, they got the logo. So someone placed this shit. But see, let's keep dogging on them for the people who watch the video. It's not even centered. The Independent Craft Brewers Guild under the veteran family owned thing isn't even centered correctly. Yeah, design wise, it's got to take a huge hit. Oh, and this isn't even a ball can, by the way. I'm a ball can guy because ball aluminum cans are the best cans. Shit. You know what? I was gonna give it like a 3.5. I'm not gonna knock it a full point. I'm gonna knock it a half a point. I'm gonna give it a 3. Because it is 8.5%.
That's
again,
fine.
Let's standardize where we throw out the word Deepa and Tripa, Teepa. I mean, if I can have a 6% IPA, I shouldn't be able to have it.
Does not support this.
Right. Like if IPA, let's say, okay, here we go. New Belgium IPA, if they're 6.7%, you can't tell me an 8.5% is a double. Again, it probably refers to the amount of hops used and not the actual alcohol content, but I want it to be the actual alcohol content. So take your sub 12% Deepas and shove them up your ass. I'm going to give this one a 3.
Right.
Scott, send us home. I rambled, but I will not edit this episode because I don't think I said anything I have to cut out. So
No, it's perfectly fine.
thank you.
Awesome. Fuck off, me.
Fuck off, you.